Good morning, boys and girls, children and men, and everybody else, dogs, cats, whoever, to another Motiveflow tutorial. This tutorial is going to go over the search capabilities of Motiveflow. This is going to be a two-part course, one that just has some basic functional overview, and then a second part that has some more advanced searching. So right now we start off at our home screen that we always come to, and this gives you a snapshot of our current in-stock inventory. As you can see, we have new in-stock inventory of 647, and we have used in-stock inventory of 63. We also have it broken down by GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Each one of these are clickable. You see the burnt orange, when you hover over it, it turns black. That black means that you can click it. We've seen before that you can come up here into the search box up here and type in a VIN, a stock number, production number, and go directly to that vehicle. But let's say we're not talking about a stock number. Let's just say that somebody calls in and they're looking for a Ford F-250 King Ranch. Well, we can come over here and we can click 272. And as you can see in this filter categories, which are all right here, we have the stock type is new, we have the state, which is in stock, and we have Ford click down here. Now, there's a couple things we can look in here, and let's take a little bit of time to get this basic overview complete. Stock type, so we have new and used stock type. We also have the state, so this vehicle can be in transit, on order, gone, which means it's been delivered, scheduled, in production, or not assigned. Some of those criteria, and we will clean those up for your uses, are just used for ordering and for the other guys with the manufacturers. Y'all's biggest concern is going to be looking at in stock, in transit, and sometimes on order. The next is the inventory source. This can tell you if it's a dealer order, a manufacturer order that they put in, a trade-in, a purchase unit, a special order, or we acquired it via another trade channel. Vehicle status, this is something that we're going to use administratively, and we'll talk about that in another tutorial, so you can look at different vehicles and see if they are completely finished and enriched or if they're not. Invoice, this will tell you if the invoice is present. Sale target is something that y'all will not use that much, but this is good for managers and team leads to look at, hey, how did we sell this vehicle? If it's a gone unit, how did we sell it? Was it sold retail? Was it sold wholesale? Was it a fleet deal? Was it a demo deal? Was it a special order or whatnot? Under manufacturer right here, we have all the different manufacturers that we have currently ever traded for. And so we can, if they're in our inventory, we can check that. So we're looking at all the Ford vehicles right now that are in stock and new. Well, let's look at in transit just so we can have those. So if we hit in transit and hit search, it'll update to 286 Ford vehicles in transit. But let's say we want to look at Chrysler. So if we unclick Ford and click Chrysler, you can see that we have 176 vehicles that are in transit or in stock and new in Chrysler. Whenever you do one of these and you search, you can go down the list. You can see all these vehicles in here. Now, the page is what we call page delimited, which means at any given time there's only 25 vehicles shown. We do this for a reason in case you try to blow something up. Let me show you what I mean by blow something up. If I uncheck Chrysler, new, in transit, and in stock, basically nothing, and I hit search, it returns 10,893 vehicles that we've had in our system at any given time. If we displayed all 10,000 of those vehicles on one page, it would take forever to load the page. So we've made it to where there's 25 vehicles per page. You can select right here where my cursor is, and you can drop it and you look at 50, 100, 250, 500, 1,000. I would refrain from doing that just because of page load times, and I'd usually keep it around 25 or 50. Once you get down into the filters of these vehicles, you're usually not going to need a data set of more than 25 or 50. But in case you do, all you have to do to get to the next page is right over here where my cursor is. You can either select the page number, or you can hit next, and it'll take you to the next page, or you can hit previous. Okay, so let's do an example of what a customer would come in and look for. So let's say we start off with a blank screen, and a customer is calling in about a Ford F-250 King Ranch that's black, and he's wanting to know the different options on them. So we would go to new, and we'd go to in stock, and we could click Ford here. Okay, and we could hit search, and that brings us to 274 vehicles. But we also, I forgot that we want to look at in transit to see what might be coming. So we have 286 Ford vehicles. Another way of getting there, if you did not select the Ford right here, is this quick search bar. This quick search bar is going to be your best friend. It's an incremental search, kind of like the Autoraptor search, that can search on anything that we have in there. So I could type in, and let's see what happens when new in transit in stock. We have currently new in transit in stock, we have 612 vehicles. I can actually type Ford right here, and it brings back those 286 vehicles. Very, very cool feature. I can type Chrysler. I don't know if I spell it right. And it brings up the 176 vehicles. For General Motors, hey, we have Chevy, GMC, we have Buick, we have Cadillac, we have a lot of stuff. So let's say that you could do Chev and put up the Chevy vehicles. You could do GMC vehicles. But also, let's look at something that's very, very cool. We've got these broken down by manufacturer. So Ford's a manufacturer, we know that. We know Chrysler's a manufacturer as well. But we all know General Motors is a manufacturer. So if you just come down in here and put GMTR, that'll bring up all the vehicles that are in the GM franchise that we have in transit and in stock. So very, very cool feature. I recommend when you're looking at the manufacturers, though, to make sure down here it's clicked. This will just help you focus on what you're doing and not having to have too many search parameters in there. So let's look again at our example of the Ford F-250 King Ranch. So we have our data set right here. Let's click search, and that brings us back to 286 vehicles. All right, so how do we get down to Ford F-250s? Because if you scroll down this list, we've got F-150s, 350s, some Fiestas, some Explorers, everything else. Well, this incremental search is very, very powerful. Let's say I just wanted to pull up the Explorers. All I have to do is type Explorer. Bam, we have 3 Explorers there. Let's say that I want to pull up the F-150s. We have 94 F-150s. Let's say I want to pull up everything that is 4-wheel drive. We have 222 vehicles. So it's a very, very powerful search that'll search all these criteria that we have listed right in here. There's a full text search, and it does it by option codes. I highly recommend that y'all become experts in your products, because searching by the option codes is the very, very elite level in how powerful you can get. But let's look at this Black King Ranch. So we've already got new in transit, in stock, and Ford. So let's look at a F-250. And you can do that and watch it. It'll process by itself. You don't have to hit enter or anything else. It'll do it. So that brings us 76 F-250s I have. If you hit space and then type in King Ranch, now we have 31 vehicles that are King Ranch. Now you can look at this list and you can scroll down and you can see several different, the color palettes, everything else that are on this vehicle. But we want it black. So again, what can we do? We can type in black. So now we have 6 vehicles that are Black King Ranches. Alright, so we have 6 vehicles that are Black King Ranches. Now, let's look at this search result page and see what kind of information is actually on this page. So we've seen before that we have the stock number, we have that it's new, we have that it's a dealer order, and these are production number and days and order priority numbers. Y'all do not need to concern yourselves by that. Over here, you have basic information about the vehicle that can be searched on really easily. You have the entire vehicle string, which tells you exactly what the vehicle is: a 2013 Ford Super Duty F-250 single wheel, 4-wheel drive, crew cab, 156-inch wheelbase, King Ranch. You also have the engine, you have the transmission, and a very important key factor that a lot of y'all need is the axle ratio right there. Okay, you also have the VIN, the mileage, and right below here you have the codes. These are the invoice codes on the vehicle. So this comes just directly off the invoice. These are everything that's on that vehicle. So let's say that we're looking at a vehicle and you've narrowed this set down and you want to look at vehicles that are exactly like this one to find the oldest one we can sell this person, because we know that inventory age is important. But you drill down your list of F-250 King Ranch Blacks, and you can copy this entire vehicle string and put it in there, and guess what? All 6 of these vehicles are exactly alike. Very, very, very cool. So so you can put entire option strings in there. So let's just delete that just so we don't have too much of a mess. And let's look at some of the other things that we have in here. So when you look next you have the exterior color and the interior color. You have primary and secondary colors up here. Primary color is black right here, and again, just like the other tutorials that we showed, if you hover over the color palette, it'll tell you exactly that vehicle color made by the manufacturer. You can go look at the lower two-tone accent, pale adobe metallic, and then you can look at the interior, the adobe interior. Right next to that, you show that it's in stock, and it's been in stock for 56 days. You can see also that we have one in transit, and that thing's been in transit for 7 days. Next is the invoice, which again, just like anything else, if you click it, it'll bring the invoice link right up. Next to that, you have several pricing metrics. You have the balance on the vehicle, you have the sale price of the vehicle, you have the rebates on the vehicle, the markup, and the profit. Next to that is a little bit of audit history, which you can't concern yourself, but you can see when it was updated last, when it was imported, when we received the vehicle, when we entered it into the system, and the status of the vehicle as well. Right next to it is a links section. And we've seen these links before. We can go click leads and take us to the AutoRaptor leads. We can hit website link and it'll take us to the website link, window sticker, incentive link. And we've seen the incentive link, which is very, very cool in this vehicle. So you can look at all these vehicles and tell exactly what it is. Over here is history. This is a pricing history on the vehicle, so you can look and see when the prices changed, what happened. So for instance, let's say that rebates changed, and we had a rebate change of $500 on F-250s today. So we go in and we change the prices. You're looking at vehicles, and you tell the customer, hey, the rebates changed the other day, and you absolutely accidentally forgot exactly what happened to that vehicle and how much rebates. You can actually sit here and hover over and go, oh, well, the rebates changed a certain number, or the markup changed a certain number. You can see the history of that vehicle. Very, very cool, very, very powerful. So let's look at something that we can use to differentiate and how a customer actually kind of comes in and talks about vehicles. So let's start our search criteria all over, and let's look at a Ford F-150. So a customer calls in and they're looking for a Ford F-150. All right, so we have 94 of these available. So you're going through your process with the customer. All right, sir, ma'am, we got the F-150s. What exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for XLTs, King Ranches? What exactly are you looking for? Well, let's take just a broad picture, because XLTs have a lot of different variations, and let's look at an XLT. Put that in the search results. So we have 44 F-150 XLTs. What's really cool about this as well is when model year changeover, for 2013 to 2014, you can actually change and put 2013 in there, and it'll search on the year model too. So if we can do 2012s, we can do all that information. We don't have any of those there, but all that information is persistent. So whatever you type in that search bar, you will filter it down automatically. So let's look at these F-150s. So we have all these F-150s here, Super Crew, Super Cab, everything else. What are we looking at? What are we trying to do? Okay, well, we have a couple of things up here I wanted y'all to be looking at. We already touched on what all this stuff is, but up here, everything that is underlined can be sorted. So let's talk about, we want to sort by the trim levels. If we click this little trim level where it is, everything just sorted by the trim level of XLT. All right, so if this was a bigger group, let's erase the XLT from the search criteria, and we had King Ranches, everything else, and we sort it by trim. We have some unenriched vehicles, but you can look, we have FX4s, King Ranches, everything else going down here. You can also look at here and look at axle. You can sort by axles. So an F-150, let's go back to the XLTs just so we can look at that. Axles are very big, so we can look here and go axles and sort by the axle code on each one of those. So we have some with 331s, we have some with 355s, we have some electronic rear axles, and we can just keep on drilling down, drilling down, drilling down. Let's talk about engines. You can do the same thing with engines, right? So some of them have 5.0s, some of them have EcoBoost. So you can sort this by engine type, and you can go down and look, and we have 5.0s right here. We scroll down a little bit further, and we start getting out until we have some 3.5 EcoBoost, 3.5 EcoBoost, and whatnot. Also, as you can see, you can sort by cab style and anything else that you'd like to. This is very, very important because the functionality is there. Whatever you want to do, You can find it. I highly recommend every single one of y'all play around with this multiple times and figure out the ways that you want to use this. The system is designed that there's a certain way to do some things, but it's also flexible enough that if you want to sit here and just get basic criteria and then search, you can do that. Or you can get up here and you can put, extend a cab. Okay. One thing we really need to be careful about and look about is your body codes. You know what the codes are. The body codes are your first on Fords, the first 3 digits right here after the world codes. So W1Es, W2Bs, W1Cs. Those will tell you what kind of cab styles and everything else is. So another way to look at all these vehicles, let's go back to Fords. The entire Ford data set 286, and let's say I would just want to put F-250s. So instead of putting F-250 right here, I could do that and get 76 vehicles returned, or I can hit W2B, which is the body code. Okay, we can hit W3D for Deweys and bring 34 Deweys. So there's a lot of functionality, and depending on how smart and intelligent you are and how much knowledge you have as a product specialist, which you should have and know every single one of these codes and what they mean, you can search on any criteria you want. Now, we're still fleshing out the full text search to translate some of these codes into full text search. Some of them are working, some of them are not. This is going to be an ongoing process, but until then, you need to know your codes. It helps everything else out. Okay? So, let's go back and let's look at an F-150. Somebody calls in and they want a 2013 F-150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost engine. 99T is that engine. All right? So we have all these vehicles right there, 59 of them. All right? Now that we have that, okay, so that we have the EcoBoost engine. Well, let's go over here and sort and look at what our balance is and our sales price and our rebate, because usually sales price, let's mark it down and it'll sort by sales price. Remember, these stay in order. These will not change order, but they will sort by order. So we have this layer right here that if we hit sell price, has a sell price of 47,740. Excuse me, 58,940. If we sort again by sale, it'll do a reverse sorting order. So if you click it once, it'll sort it from ascending to descending. If you select it again, it'll go from descending to ascending. Okay? And you can do that with any and every one of these sorts. All you have to do is click it once or click it twice. If you want to sort by age, we can click it sort by age. All right, so let's take again another one of those examples of these platinums that we have. We have some Super Crew platinums right here. If you take the option string and put them in here, because we want to know exactly which vehicles and how old they are, we put them in there. We have 2 vehicles. We have 165 and 164 days old. Of course, if they're exact same vehicles, same interior color, everything else, because we copied the exact option string, now we can sell these vehicles. Gentlemen and ladies, I cannot tell you how important this functionality is. When you're going through here and you find a vehicle that the customer wants, immediately copy that option string and paste it in there, because that will tell you if we have another vehicle that is exactly alike. And if that one vehicle is exactly alike and it is 40 days older than the other, we definitely want to sell that older age vehicle. There is so much behind the scenes money that happens when we sell older age vehicles and get rid of them. It helps our inventory turn, it's flush, and it's something that needs to be actively managed by our entire sales force and BDC team. So this tutorial again was just a basic overview of the functionality and just how to get down and do a couple of the search terminologies. There will be a second part of this that I'm going to get down to and give y'all a lot more information on how to do some very unique searches to get exactly what you want, but this should start y'all off in a great direction.